Today's webinar is subscriptions and client portals. So the goal for today's webinar is to add a contact, set up a quick search, set up the subscription settings so that way our clients are being notified automatically of new and updated listings that meet that criteria. And I will also be showing you the inbox of a fake client that I'm setting up so that way you can see what emails your clients will be receiving when you first set them up as a contact in Flex with the search and subscription and inviting them to the portal if that's something that your client is interested in. And I'll explain a little bit more about these things as I go. So let's not waste any more time than I already have. I am on my Flex dashboard, as I always am when I log into Flex in the morning. I always like to start with the contact itself. It just makes it easier to connect the pieces as we're going. So I am going into contact management. And I'm going to be adding a contact. Now, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about this because we have a getting to know your clients webinar that pays way more attention and takes more time explaining this process in depth. So if you're interested in an in-depth look at this page, check out the Main Listings YouTube channel, Getting to Know Your Clients. So for my sake, I am going to set up a contact with this quick add option. So I'm going to name him Webinar. And apologies for the weird name. YouTube keeps blocking this video because it thinks I'm showing off real people's information. And I swear it's all fake in here. Anyway, well, I guess mine is real. Maybe that's why. So first name Webinar, last name is Test. And I have made an email address with Mailinator that is webinar123@mailinator.com. And I just had to check the spelling of that because I almost forgot. And where I want to send a portal invite to this client, I'm going to check this off. So just to like briefly explain the portal in case you don't know, I like to call it like Flex Lite, Lite, kind of an old school like tech term, I think, for like the old Apple phones and iPhones and stuff. But essentially, it's a mini version of Flex that your clients get to use. So they create their portal account, they log in, they can run their own quick searches. They can't save the searches, but they can run their own quick searches the same way you do. They can save or favorite specific listings. They can hide or remove specific listings from their results if they don't like them. They can also view all of your saved searches that you have set up for them. So if they do want a saved search with specific criteria, that's still something Flex thinks that the agent should be doing on that person or that client's behalf, and that we shouldn't let the client do everything themselves. And they'll also have access to a page called the newsfeed. And the newsfeed is a collection of all of the listings that have met their criteria and they received an email for. And this comes with a bunch of specific settings. And so sometimes you could say, yep, you got this match, 2 months ago, you were matched with One Main Street, and that's why it's on your newsfeed today, even though maybe it's in the pending status. Or if your client's like, hey, I don't want to see pending listings, you can change your portal settings to hide pending listings from their newsfeed. Okay, we'll see a little bit more of that as we go. So I'm going to click Quick Add here with the first, last, and the email address. And we get that notification that a portal notification has been sent. So we should be good on that. While we're here, there's one more thing we need to do. So I know that Mr. Webinar Test wants to receive these automatic subscription emails. And in order for Flex to, let's just call it like be comfortable sending those emails to Mr. Webinar, he has to opt in to the subscription service. Flex does not want to come across as a spam, scam, whatever company. And their fear is if they don't get this opt-in request, which I also think is legally required anyway, If they don't get this opt-in request, that person receiving the emails that didn't opt in could report them as spam. And if enough people do that, then email inboxes like Gmail or Yahoo Mail or AOL, whatever it is these days, might not trust Flex moving forward. And it would just make it harder for them to be in touch with the tens of thousands of clients and emails they send every day. So that is why the confirmation email has to be sent and approved. So while we're here, we can see under action it says send the confirmation email. So I'm going to click that. And then it gives me another green pop-up to say, yes, that email was just sent. And we can see that that disappeared from our action because, well, we already sent it. So there's no action to follow through with right now. From here, I need to set up Mr. Webinar with a search and the subscription service. So I'm going over to searches and subscriptions, currently blank, and I'm going to click add. So, kind of as I mentioned with like all roads lead to Rome kind of thing, if you had already created the search for Mr. Webinar, maybe you guys met up at the coffee shop or you came into the office and you guys did the search criteria and saved it, and then you realized, oh wait, I never even set him up as a contact in Flex. So if the search came first and then you added the contact, you could find that saved search here. This is just a giant list of all of my saved searches. So excuse all of the pot frauds. You can probably guess what those are. And it would be easy here, right, to just attach a previously saved search to this client, which is why I always say, and I'll say it again in a minute, to include your client's name in the name of your search. Just in case it ever disconnects for some reason, it's easy to reconnect the search and the client. Where I don't have the save search done because I'm going from the contact to the search as opposed to the search to the contact, I am going to create a new quick search. And this page, I'm going to guess, is familiar to you guys. And again, I'm just going to be really quick about this. So if you want a deeper dive into searching, you should go to Main Listings YouTube channel and look up the Searching Made Easy webinar that we host, because that goes into way more detail about the quick search and other search options. So let's just do the town of Lisbon. Let's do a current price minimum of like 300. Gives us less options than I thought. Let's just do 2 bedrooms. Okay, and at least 2 full bathrooms. Let's see how that goes. 2 results, pretty specific apparently. But now I have my search criteria. This is what my client is looking for. Town of Lisbon, $300,000 minimum. He needs 2 bedrooms and at least 2 full bathrooms. So we have 2 options for Mr. Webinar. And we are going to click save up at the top right. And this is Flex prompting us to save the search. Okay, this is not the subscription service that's going to send notifications automatically. This is the search criteria that that subscription service is utilizing. So again, this is webinar test is the name of the contact, of course. So webinar test or Tyler Ames or whoever the contact's name is, and then Lisbon properties or some way to describe quickly what the search is about. The description is optional, so don't feel like you need to put anything there. Because we started from the contact management page, it already knows that we're attaching this, excuse me, we're attaching the search to an existing contact named webinar test. If you started with your search, or maybe your contact was created and then you came into a quick search individually, you would probably have to go to existing and then search webinar test in this dropdown to apply him to the search. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we want to click save and add subscription. So here are subscription options or the settings. The subscription name is just their search name with the word subscription in front of it. Again, it's in that Flex does automatically, but in their mind, it's the same reasoning I have about the client name in the search, is that it's easy to reconnect these if they disconnect. You can see it removed the Y, unless I mistyped it, but there is a character limit, so sometimes your text does get cut off. All right, your send notifications of new listings too. We have you, the sender. If this is checked off, you're going to get an exact copy at the same time your client does, which can be good so you can keep track of what your client's getting. Selected contacts has to be selected, or whoever is entered in the contact section won't receive emails. So that's one of the troubleshooting things I always check when someone calls to say my client is not receiving the subscription emails that I thought he should be. One of the things I do is I come to the subscription options and just double check selected contacts is selected. Send me an email when a client clicks the link. So you won't get a copy of every email that gets sent. Again, good or bad, up to you and your organization. But what it will do is it will send you an email notification when the client actually clicks the link to the listing in an email and engages with the page for a minute. It kind of gives you like a warmer lead that saying, hey, not only did this client get this email, but they're actually engaging with this property, so it might be interesting to them. Could be a way to reach out to a potential client or your client and say, hey, the system let me know, or I noticed that this property, you were checking it out for a couple of minutes. Do you want me to set up a showing? Do you have any questions about it? Etc., etc. It's kind of like a warm lead for your own client there. Enable preview mode. I usually don't recommend this. This is really for like picky clients who have criteria that just isn't really searchable in the MLS, if that makes sense. The bad example I always use is kitchen countertops. So if your client says to you like, "Hey, I need a property in Lisbon, 300,000, two beds, two baths, etc." But I don't even want to receive any property emails unless there are quartz countertops. If I get an email that doesn't have quartz countertops, I'm firing you. Okay, that's probably really dramatic, okay? But this isn't a dramatic example. So your agreement hinges on the fact that only listings with quartz countertops gets to this client. If you enable preview mode, it gives you a little description here. But essentially what happens is Flex will send you a notification email to say, hey, your client webinar test has a match to their search settings or search criteria, but you need to review this first. And you review the listing. If there are quartz countertops, you can then say approved, and then Flex sends the email to your client. If there aren't quartz countertops, in my example, you would reject that listing and it would not send the email to your client. So that would protect your listing agreement in the case of my very dramatic scenario. But I think the point stands because countertops aren't a required field to fill out. Not everybody is going to be saying, yes, there are quartz countertops, or no, there aren't quartz countertops. So it might be something that you have to review manually to make sure your client's only getting what they want. So hope that makes sense. Contacts is who's going to receive these emails. The schedule. So weekly picks a day of the week. You can pick as many of these days or as few of these days as you want. Probably one at least. And what it's going to do is it's going to send an email at, I think it's around 7 a.m. our time, maybe 6 a.m. Sometimes it comes out a little slightly differently depending on when the system is churning and updating. But let's just say like this right here is my selection, Tuesday and Thursday. So if this was my selection, from the moment I hit save right now, if I were the moment I hit the save button, Flex will store or keep track of every new listing or every updated listing that meets this criteria. And on Tuesday morning, it will send a big email to the client with all of those listings. Then, from the moment that email goes out Tuesday morning until Thursday morning, Flex is gathering all of the new and updated listings and will send them all at once on Thursday morning, rinse and repeat. So if you want them to receive email pretty much just like every morning, 8 a.m., they get a big email with a handful of listings, this would probably be the way. It's the same deal with monthly. So, what day of the month do you want listings to go out? If I stuck to the first and I hit save, everything from now until the 1st of June will be stored together in one big email, and then will go out June 1st, and then rinse repeat. Everything from June 1st to July 1st gets stored in an email and then goes out on July 1st. Mostly what I see is people choose ASAP, as soon as possible, of course. And this is a benefit in that as soon, pretty much within like a minute or two of a listing going live in the MLS, your clients are being notified of that. So really, your clients are first in line to know what's hitting the market, over people who are just using, let's just call them the traditional third-party sites. You have your subject and your body. So this email goes out every single time that a listing subscription email is sent, I should say. So I always recommend to not be specific. Don't say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, what's coming up soon? What's the big holiday? Maybe, I don't know, July 4th. That's really far away, but happy July 4th, go America, because in 6 months, if they're still getting these emails, it's no longer Christmas. It's no longer happy holidays. It's no longer July 4th, right? And I also really strongly discourage you guys from entering contact information, your name, and no offense, but especially if you're a girl, because maybe you get married and you're not expecting that, and you have this dream wedding and you change your last name. If you put your name in the email, just say like this, thank you, Tyler Ames, and you save this, and then I get married and I change my last name to Smith. Suddenly, all I would have to manually update all of my subscription emails one by one to remove Ames and put in Smith, right? If you're typing your information in here, Flex can't fix this for you automatically. So don't put contact information, no email addresses, no phone numbers, no names, in my opinion, because that stuff can change. You switch offices, you get a new email, right? My mom is kicking me off of the family phone plan soon, so I'm going to get a new phone number. Okay. So don't put that stuff here. You never know. Flex gives you like a contact card, um, that already has your photo, your logo, your contact information, and that updates in real time as your profile does. So don't type it in here. Okay. I'm going to click save. So now that subscription service is saved, and everything moving forward will be sent to this client. However, these two results that are currently on the market, right? Those are actually, you can think of them as like a subscription magazine. These two results are last month's edition of the magazine. And so where we just signed up today, we're not getting last month's edition. We're getting every edition forward from our sign up. So we need to manually send these two listings to our client. So I'm going to click email these listings now. Want to make sure that all results too are selected. The to field is filled out with webinar test. You have similar options here to the subscription service. You can get an exact copy of this email or just get notified when the client engages with the link in the email. Always use FlexMLS, in my opinion, so that you can easily track and troubleshoot email issues within the system. And then this email right here, this can be specific. This is a one-time email you're sending right now about these two properties. So this is the place where you can say, I still wouldn't put your contact information in. Don't do it. It's right down here. Do you see this? Your signature card is down here already. So my recommendations here is to be a little more personable if you can. You can obviously just say, here are the two listings in Lisbon that meet your criteria that are currently on the market. Just wanted you to see it. Something like that. Or you could say, hey, Merry Christmas. It was nice meeting you yesterday at the coffee shop downtown Rockland. I don't know. Here are the two listings that meet your criteria that we discussed yesterday. Let me know if you're interested in them. I don't know. That sounds a little more personable, right? And that, because it only goes out once, you don't have to worry about that not being true in 6 months. So I'm just going to keep this as is. Just you can tell this is just like a test thing I was doing, obviously. And I'm going to click email, and it lets me know the link was mailed from Tyler at mainlistings.com. So now I'm done. Let's just quickly review. I can return to contact management. After a second, it should bring up webinar test for me. So now I can see I have under searches and subscriptions, a search on the left and one subscription on the right. So I know that the search and subscription was set up properly. We can see in our contact details, it had a minute to update, so I just wanted to show you. We have the status of pending, which means the opt-in request was successfully sent. As far as Flex knows, the opt-in request we sent earlier is successfully delivered to your client's inbox. If it wasn't delivered to your client's inbox, you would see pending and then the word bounce in parentheses if there is any bounce back of that email. And then you can see under action, not a clickable link. It's just letting you know the last action we took was that we sent the opt-in request. Alrighty. Let us quickly look at the inbox of our client. Just want to make sure that that carried over correctly. Yeah, okay, perfect. So we can see our Mailinator inbox for webinar 123. And there's a couple of emails in here. Well, in fact, there are 3 emails in here. So when we first added the contact, right, we checked off that portal box because we wanted to send an invite to the portal for the client to sign up to if they want to. Not every client is interested. Some of them just like the emails, but some of them like this interactive version. So we can click on the portal invite. We can see it says Tyler Ames has invited you to sign up. Welcome to your personalized. You could edit this email in your personal preferences if you wanted to. Check out the Personalize Your Preferences webinar we host on our YouTube channel. Your client would click sign up. And you can see it brings them right to an account creation process where the email address is already plugged in. That's their username. First and last name are there. They just need to set up a password and then hit confirm. And until they manually log out, or I think that's like inactivity for a week maybe, they will stay logged into their portal. So every time they click a link, it will bring them to obviously the listing in that link, but it'll also in the background, basically, it will be their portal. So if they close out of that listing, they're still in the Flex ecosystem to do searches, to find properties they're interested in, to favorite them that you could see. Maybe it'll send you a message to say that they like this one, etc., etc. One thing that I usually recommend, especially if it's like a husband and a wife, is if it was like Mr. and Mrs. webinar test on the same contact, only one portal per contact. So even if you have 2 email addresses on one contact in Flex, they only get one portal account. So typically my recommendation is to have a password like 1234. There's no personal information other than their email address in the portal. So it's not like it's a super secure, you need to be uber protected inside of this, or your identity gets stolen. Okay, it's not like that serious of a thing. So typically I would recommend the password just be like 1234, and then have Mr. Webinar share that information with Mrs. Webinar so that she can log into the portal herself as well. And if you don't like that, you can have Mr. Webinar and Mrs. Webinar as separate contacts so that they can have separate portal accounts. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's go back to the inbox. Here is the opt-in request I was talking about. So it says Tyler Ames, that would be you, of course, would like to email listings to you. So your client would just need to click yes, please email listings to opt in to receive those automatic subscription notifications. And then we sent that, I probably should have named this a little differently so it made more sense visually. But then we sent that email with the 2 current properties in Lisbon. So this is the link that if I click on, it should bring me to those 2 listings. 2 results, 51 Gould and 10 Middle Street, both in Lisbon. So that worked, which is great. And with that, Now that we've viewed our inbox, this is what your clients will get when you're setting them up for the first time in Flex. They get the portal invite if you want them to, they get your opt-in request, and they should get that first initial email with what is currently on the market in their search criteria. Okay. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm just going to refresh and do my outro. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us at 780-1366 or email us help@mainlistings.com. Thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day.